Hello, everyone. Today's Tuesday, May the 19th.
I'm Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia.
I'm George Dodger in Jacksonville, Florida.
I'm Jeff Zayas in Napa, California.
And I'm Robert Taylor in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey, I'm Duke Carrico. Hey, everyone, on tonight's Tech and Coffee's Android Journal, we're going to expect to see more tweets in your Google searches, new hardware from Asus and Nvidia, and I'm going to ask the panel what they expect from Google I/O 2015. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 100. Guys, can you believe it? 100 episodes.
Wowie. Wowie zowie. Unbelievable.
I think so. I really do. I think so. Hey, man, streaming from Meerkat. So, yeah, we started this last week and exposed ourselves, so to say, to a few who maybe didn't know about us. So, yeah, Meerkat's back up and running. Yeah, so, hey, guys, let's talk about some of this week's Android news, and then we'll get on off into episodes 100, and I'll talk about a little bit about how we got started, so forth, etc. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about tweets, man. You know, Google did this a while back. I think y'all might remember, but it didn't work out, and I think Google had visions of Google Plus supplanting Twitter in the real-time search arena, and that probably didn't work out too good. Anyway, Google and Twitter are they've signed agreements, and now on mobile search, if you search for something, real-time tweets against that search criteria should be showing up, and probably isn't going to help people who might not tweet a whole lot, though. What do you think, Jeff?
I'm not a tweeter, so, you know, it's not going to help me, and I think it's just going to be trying to keep Google Plus users within the ecosystem. So they probably said, hey, you know, I/O is coming up. We got to satisfy as Google Plus. There's not a lot going on with Google Plus. You know, we talked about the, you know, the collections thing, but there hasn't been a lot of I would say infrastructure updating on Google Plus. So maybe this is their attempt to satisfy that and get more people to use it. Perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it could be good for Twitter in that if you're interested in Taylor Swift and you do a search for maybe tweets, her most recent tweets are going to show up, and you're going to click on them and say, hey, man, Twitter, I should use this more often to follow my favorite female singer, Taylor Swift. What do you think?
Well, you know, I'm not following Taylor, but, you know, she calls me all the time, so, you know, I give her advice. But the thing is, I think Twitter is probably the one that was more in trouble than Google, right? So they're probably getting some revenue out of this somewhere, a little extra revenue stream. They're not doing that well in terms of money. So maybe this is a way for them to kind of get in bed with somebody a little bit much bigger, really bigger, big deep pockets. But Taylor says hi.
Does anybody else have a problem with not letting apps and programs rise and stand on their own efficacy and effectiveness rather than all these strategic partnerships? I mean, some programs just probably ought to die, but just this artificial life support by putting together these strategic partnerships and everything. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not a big Twitter user. Twitter's great for me to sign into some sites that have single sign-on, but Twitter is something I use very sparingly, just to follow people that like. I'll follow breaking news. I follow some tech blogs. I follow Engadget, Mashable, places like that. To get instant stuff. That it's important, but I don't know.
It is strange to see these kind of infusions. I mean, there are some marriages that kind of make sense. You know, like you can take a photo app and say, you know, marry it to Facebook or Google Plus because why? Because photos in posts generate interest. That kind of makes sense. I'm not sure I understand the marriage between a search for a topic, Taylor Swift, or whatever, and the Google search result. When I'm searching for something on Google, I want meat. I want something, substance. I don't want 140 characters of today I'm wearing, you know, red shoes, whatever. That just seems kind of silly.
Okay. I'll tell you, I think there's some relevance in what's going on right now, what's live. It's not something that's been, you know, that Google's done a bot and gone and you know, kind of probed the site to see what's in it. And like I say, I think there's some relevance there. But I want to stress, I think there's some relevance there. I don't want Twitter to take over my Google search.
Well, it depends on how you're going to be searching too. I mean, obviously, if you were a big fan of BB King and you were, you know, wanted to search on him, and all of a sudden you'd want to get the Twitter feed that he passed or something. I mean, that's like Bruce was saying, you know, late breaking news. So, you know, it's a, you know, I guess it's how it's going to be integrated.
So let me try and fill this out. You know, I think George and I, we tweet very little. Bruce, you tweet very little. Robert and Jeff are not Twitter users at all. And you know, I do find some relevance in Twitter. There's a lot of noise though in Twitter. And as Bruce mentioned, Twitter has struggled to be profitable, to make money. They trying to insert advertising. So I think this is good for Google, but I do think it's good for Twitter also. Would you guys not agree with this?
Oh yeah, I think what Jeff brought up was very true. Google's not the one who's hurting here. Twitter's the one who's struggling trying to find their way. And anytime that, you know, a bigger, deeper pocket comes in and says, hey, we'll make you more relevant, we'll bring you to the top, we'll bring you in front of more eyeballs, certainly that's a benefit to Twitter. I don't think it does anything at all for Google. In fact, I would sort of think it kind of hurts. When I do a Google search, I am searching for the meat subject. I'm not looking for the news flash.
Okay.
But I think the way it's supposed to work is you say, as an example, I just did it just to see if it was working, but tech and coffee and then Twitter. So you add Twitter to your search criteria, and it's supposedly at the top level, it shows you, you know, that specific Twitter feed or Twitter feeds related to that. I think that's the way it works from when I'm reading the two articles I read on it, but it's not working yet, so we don't know.
Okay. Hey guys, let's move on. Let's talk about hardware. We here lately we hadn't talked a whole lot about hardware on Android Journal, but there was two things that kind of caught my attention this week, and you know, well, let's take the first one first. Let's take this new Asus Zenfone 2. It's official now in North America. It starts shipping today. For $199, you can get a 1.8 gigahertz Intel Atom, a 5.5-inch HD screen, 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigabytes, $200, man. But then if you want to go all out, you can get a 2.3 gigahertz Intel Atom, the same 5.5-inch HD screen, 4 gigs of RAM, and 64 gigs of memory. $299. This phone comes in a few different colors. Reviews have been mixed on this. It's not it's not a bad phone, but it's got some bloatware on it, and the hardware has not gotten a whole lot of favorable reviews. Still yet, though, if you look at the processing power of this device and the price point, I gotta say, just looking at the specs and the price point, guys, I'm tempted. I really am. I'm tempted. So, Bruce, I'm going to let you start this one. What do you think, man?
Yeah, when I first saw the $199 price point, I thought that was good because a lot of the new flagship phones, we've moved from the $199 to the $249 to now to the $299, for flagship phones, whether it's like the iPhone 6 Plus. If you get something on a 2-year contract, get one of those high-end phones, you're paying $299. So I think the $199 is a good price point. I remember watching the keynote for this phone, and I was pretty impressed with it. But the phone that's getting a lot of the good PR right now is the G4. And have you seen any prices yet on G4? I know it's being released this week also in different carriers, but they say tremendous things about the camera on the G4, saying it's the best yet. But yeah, it's I was impressed with the phone. It was a nice looking phone. It does have good specs, and to be able to still have a good high end phone for $199 is a good option.
Okay, Jeff, what do you think, man?
You can't beat $200. To own the phone outright, geez, that's pretty cheap. So if you were looking for a quick upgrade, I think it's probably a good phone to look at. And then it's such a low price, right? It kind of looks similar to my G3, right? Has a nice look to it. We'll see what happens, but the price point is the thing, and $200, it's totally worth the gamble.
Comparing this to like the Moto G, Robert, the Moto G is what we call a midline phone. Still a solid phone. I'm not, necessarily knocking it, but just looking at spec sheet to spec sheet, this Asus Zenfone looks like a whole lot of phone compared to a lot of these mid-price phones. Would you not agree?
Oh yeah, looking at the specs on paper, not having real-world performance in hand, but looking at the specs on paper side by side, this phone would be the hands-down winner. People would pick this with a little bit of knowledge. It doesn't take much to figure out that this would be the better spec'd phone. Would it perform as well as the G has? Well, some would argue that the G hasn't really taken off. It's done a little bit, but not much in terms of market penetration. Same for the Moto E.
Just sitting here talking, he just hit me. The second generation Moto G didn't even offer LTE.
Right.
I mean, this thing right here is not only is it 4G, but hey man, it's got a powerhouse processor in it, that Intel Atom, man. So
yeah, 2.3 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM. I mean, that's a solid phone.
Right, spec-wise. Now, when it comes to actual implementation and real-world performance, that may be something altogether different. And Jeff held up his phone, and of course he proudly flew that Verizon label on the front of his G3. This phone is only GSM. Unfortunately, the folks who are stuck on CDMA, i.e. Verizon customers, we don't see these phones very, very much. And it's very unfortunate. I wish that these types of phones would come to the market more frequently so that, Verizon would get off their duff and finally start letting unlocked phones onto their network. They're hanging on desperately to keep these types of phones out of the hands of their customers. They really don't want them there. That's why we don't have the Nexus line anymore. And it's unfortunate.
Okay, so I bought my wife the Moto G. She loves the phone except for the camera. Flat out refuses to use the camera. And guys, I'm gonna put this on my Amazon watch list. If I see the price drop on this, I might make this plunge just on her behalf. Absolutely. Hey guys, another thing that caught my eye, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about I/O 2014 and what all Google announced and how they did prior to the 2015 that we're going to have in 2 weeks I/O. Nvidia Shield. There's been some rumors out there that Nvidia was going to come out with what they would call the Shield Pro game console. This thing would have a 500 gigabyte onboard hard drive, and it would basically be running Android TV. There's a 199 model with 3 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of storage. But then if you went for the 299 model, you'd get the 500 gigs, 4 gigs of RAM. It's a souped up version. Now, we're talking a whole lot of money in the difference between Android TV or Google's Android TV and Nvidia's. But Nvidia sounds like a more complete system. Now, Robert and George, I'm going to lean on you guys here to start with this because you are true cord cutters. You aren't running cable into your home any longer, and you're relying upon Roku's, Fire Sticks, Raspberry Pis. Is this too steep for you, Robert? Is this too steep of a price point for you to consider?
Yes, but there's only one reason. Because it is a gaming console in addition to an entertainment platform. For me, I can get what I need out of a Roku or the new Raspberry Pi or the Fire Stick for about $100, okay? And I'm expecting that when Google's Android TV really hits the market good, that I'll be able to get that for about $100 too. This also has the gaming console model to it. And that $300 price point takes that into consideration. Now, if I was a gamer, I don't see the difference between spending $300 for this and $300 for an Xbox. I really don't. It's the same thing, but I get more functionality, out of the box with this one. So, as a cord cutter, its entertainment side is intriguing to me. But because I'm not a gamer, I really don't see the need to spend $300. But I don't think $300 for a game console and an entertainment platform is unreasonable. Not at all.
George, what do you think, man?
Well, it's the Nvidia. It's like the $200 model there too. Actually, it looks pretty good because when you think about it, a lot of people go over to Amazon and they buy these little Android knockoff, whatever. They'll spend $100, $150 for one of these Android entertainment centers, and for a little bit more, you're getting something from Nvidia. So I think it's a good deal. Like Robert, I'm not a gamer. I mean, I will play some games from time to time just to entertain my brain, but other than that, it's. I think I would probably buy it. I would also buy the phone previously mentioned as well.
Okay, fair enough. Bruce, what do you think of this, man?
I'm struggling with my internet right now, so I don't know how good it's coming across. But I too, I'm not a gamer, but it's interesting. One of the things I like reading the comments on some of these articles because one of the complaints is they've been talking about this for a while. And people have been kind of excited about it, but it hasn't come out as quickly as some people thought. So maybe it's too little, too late.
All right, Jeff.
Well, I'm going to join the group as these, since my thumbs, I have opposable thumbs, and when I get on my game controller, they just go nuts. I can just, play. No, I am not a gamer. But what, and dovetailing on what Bruce has said, what games will play on this? I want to play Call of Duty. I want to play all these, high, shoot 'em up games that are, more inclusive. I don't know if those games are on this to begin with. So, I mean, if you have kids and you want a lot of, different games, maybe this is not what you want. Maybe you want to get Xbox or PS. PlayStation because you want to be all inclusive and anyone can buy them any of these games and mix and match Men of War or whatever, Gears of War or Assassin's Creed or what all those games that people want to play. I don't know if that could play on this. So since I'm not a gamer, I wouldn't know since I have that little Fire Stick for $20 that I put XBMC or Kodi on it. That seems to work well for me, so I'm sticking with that.
Here's the deal. See, I'm coming in at this a whole nother perspective as to what you four have laid out. Okay, George and I, along with another Tech and Coffeean, bought gaming computers on about the same day. Okay, we're not gamers, but we bought gaming computers. Why? Because we wanted good, powerful video cards so that I could hook up 4 cameras and do video podcasts. Okay? And let's talk about Google's Nexus Player just a second. Okay? They introduced the Nexus Player 1.8 gigahertz quad-core Intel Atom. Okay, 1.8. 1 gig of RAM. 8 gigs of storage. Are you kidding me? This is supposed to be an entertainment device that you're hooking to your TV. 1 gig of RAM and 8 gigabytes of storage? Are you kidding me, man? Okay? Then, when I look at this Nvidia, screw gaming. Who cares about gaming? I'm going to have 500 gigabytes to put my entertainment on locally. Plus, I can install Plex and run my Plex server. Okay? To me, this is an entertainment device to be had. Okay? Compared to Google's own Nexus Player, this is where I'm coming from. Wow, I silenced the crowd.
I'm a little bit
No,
scared.
I want to formulate my response. Did you see where you can install Plex Media Server on this? Because I don't see that.
Well, it's Android. You can.
It's Android TV, and it runs Android apps.
Yeah, but you can put Plex on your Fire Stick for $20. It has 4 gigs of RAM. I'm sure it'll serve up pretty nicely from any entertainment center that you had.
Okay, but there's a difference between a Plex client and a Plex server. There's a substantial difference between the two. And I guess that what you're saying, I would argue that 500 gigabytes as a server is nothing. As a server is nothing. My media library, just in movies and television shows, is 2.5 terabytes. So at 500 gigs, that doesn't do a whole lot for me. I am looking for the functionality of Android TV on this. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm seeing as the bonus besides the gaming side. I don't look at it as a PC or a server per se. And if I'm just going to look at it from the client side, as you say, Jeff, I can get the Fire Stick, I can get Apple TV, I can, oh, heaven forbid, don't block me because I said Apple. I can get Roku. There are a ton of different things that I can get out there for a lot less money, but if I'm a gamer, I'll take the gaming console that comes with it because it's priced at what an Xbox would be. I don't see that it's going to perform as a server. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed that in the storyline here, but what I saw is that it's basically another gaming console with the entertainment platform on top of it, and having 500 gigs of storage. Certainly, that's great for games and a few media files, but not much. There's certainly not much.
Well, it's 500 gigs versus 8 gigs for the Nexus player. Okay, 500 sounds pretty good when you just looked at Google's own player.
Yeah, and I get that, but the expectation is that the storage of your media would be on a NAS device, on another computer, on something else, or a portable hard drive, that you would connect to it. Not in the device itself.
Which is why I mentioned, if you've got a Plex server set up and you've got a movie library from Plex server, it's going to be really sweet to install the Plex client app on that to be able to watch the stuff that you've got, in your own video library.
But you could do that with the Fire Stick.
Yes, you can. You can.
Right? And that has 4 gigs of RAM, I believe, right?
No, the Fire Stick I think only has 2.
Is it 2? I thought it was 4.
I think it's 2, and I think the regular Fire TV has 4. Not positive, but I think it's 2.
Hey guys, let's talk about Google I/O. Google I/O is going to happen in 2 weeks. It's going to be on a Thursday and a Friday this year instead of a Wednesday and a Thursday.
Can I go? 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 Can I go?
Well, okay. That's really interesting. Let's start there. I don't want to do that yet. Hey, let's talk about 2014 first, okay? 2014. Here's kind of what we thought was coming out of Google I/O 2014. Here's what we knew: Android L. Okay, we didn't know the name. We didn't know it was going to be Lollipop, but we knew that we were getting this new material designed, themed operating system called Android L.
Yep.
All right. So let me stop right there. Bruce Turner, Android L. 11 months later, would you call it a success or a fail?
Hell no. Fail.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay, George, Android L, success or fail?
Success, why not?
Okay, Jeff, success or fail?
I would go with fail.
Robert?
There is no doubt in my mind, with less than 2% of all Android devices running Lollipop at this point, and all of the hardware-induced failures, it is a fail, and I don't care whether it's 5.0, 5.01, or 5.02, it's a fail.
All right. If I've got to pick one, I'm going to say fail. I think there's been a lot of positive things come from Android, but it's still buggy, guys. It is still a buggy system 11 months later. 11 months after they unveiled it, it is still buggy. All right. But I listen. Go ahead, Bruce.
What's really bad if you're like most of us who are not on a Nexus device and you get the upgrades in a nice fashion. You get Android L on a Samsung Galaxy Alpha, and you gotta restart your phone at least once a day so that the thing will work. And that another over-the-air update from AT&T is not going to come for a long time. And will it be 5.2? No, it'll be 5.1.0 or 5.1.1. I'm gonna suffer for a long time with this thing.
I don't blame you a bit. Hey, moving on. Android Wear. Google, they showed how their wearable would integrate with Android L and Android TV. And they unveiled a whole lot about Android Wear, what it was designed to do, how it was going to work. So 11 months later, Android Wear, success or fail? Robert,
Fail.
Jeff,
I'm gonna go with my other. Well, my brother from another mother. I'm gonna have to say Robert's right. It was a fail.
George.
I'm going to say success, even though I don't have one, and only because I've seen a lot of people with them. I'm probably going to see a lot more people with the iWatch. I'm a Pebble owner myself, but I'm going to say success just because I think there's a lot of Android users out there, and there's a lot of people that want something that works with it and that works like their phone, or their Android device or whatever it might be.
Yeah, but the
I
thing
still
is,
say go with the Pebble though, because it's much better and it's got longer battery life. But that's just me.
Bruce.
It's not over till the fat lady sings, and she hasn't warmed up yet. I think somewhere between a success and a fail, if I can take the middle road.
Fair enough. I don't think it's a fail. I think it's a new product. It's still in its infancy. And I think that there's still a whole lot more to come on it. I would compare it to Cupcake. If you remember Android Cupcake, and it was pretty, I'm going to call it elementary.
You have the patience of a saint.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But the rest of the mobile using world does not. Okay? It is 11 months, and we still don't have very good integration. We're still struggling with getting things to work. What did you just get? Not 30 minutes before we began the show tonight?
I got 511 on my Android Wear watch.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got 511 on my Android Wear watch. What's your droid running?
Okay. My droid is running Kit Kat.
My watch is running the latest version of Android Wear.
So let me jump in here. What do you consider a success? Is it sales? Is it product functionality? Is it it's because it's not. It can't be sales if you're going to go sales and measure it against Apple, right? It cannot be sales.
It can't be time frame because guess what? Apple announced the Apple Watch, not the iWatch. How long ago? And it has hit the market and it's there. Okay? Like they said, not 11 months later and trickling around and sort of half-baked, delivery on things. I really, and I get it. You own one, I don't. Okay? Neither does Jeff. But looking at it from the outside perspective and not being envious at all, okay, not at all, I can't say it's a success if it's still struggling to find its way. I don't see it as a mainstream device yet, therefore it can't be a success in my eyes.
Okay, listen. I think we're going to have to agree to disagree. But how I would reply to you is, how many phones did HTC sell when they unveiled the very first Android phone?
I don't know.
It was not many, but would you call it a success or a fail? And where is Android now versus that first HTC device? Okay.
I expect more from Google than I do HTC. And we can agree to disagree, okay, on this. It is a fail in my book because of its performance a year out from its announcement, okay? That's where I see it as a fail. I'm not saying that it's failed because it's not doing anything correct or that it's not selling or anything like that. But it has not lived up to the expectation of what other manufacturers, i.e. Apple, has done. And so, to me, that makes it a fail.
Okay.
So we can agree to disagree.
So would you call the Apple Watch a success?
On certain levels, yes, I would call it a success. I would say that they said, this is what we're going to do, and there were some modifications, but they still delivered it out when they said they were gonna. Their sales right now, Jeff, I know you know, their sales as compared to the all Android watches together, they blow them out the water. So, again, if I go back and I look at performance, sales, delivery, it's a success on all of those things. I think it fails on other counts, like cost. That's a problem.
Well, okay. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it like you said it. There's certain aspects of Android Wear that I think have been successful, because that's what you just said about the Apple Watch.
Well, you could say it this way: Android Wear is not there as
How's
of
it
yet.
not there?
Well, it's not there in terms of sales. It's not there in terms of what Robert was saying in total functionality that it needs to be.
I'm
It's
sorry.
not there.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, the Apple Watch is not there in terms.
The Apple Watch is there in terms of sales.
But
Yes, it
it's not
is.
there in terms of functionality. It does little more than Android Wear does right now. It's the marketing hype that's made it a success. I will not argue that.
But but it doesn't make it. It's kind of like it's like a painting, right? I like it. I don't like it. Why is this artist a better? Why is Picasso considered a great artist? Because it's generally accepted. I don't know why. It's just that the public likes it. And that is an Apple product. Is the public likes it somehow? They have the pulse of what the user wants or perceives they want, and they
$17,000 watch that will be outdated in 18 months.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, you can buy a Galaxy Wear watch that never took off at all. That only worked with Galaxy phones, and it was like they had to give them away.
Well, now wait a minute. Wait, that was that Android Wear? I don't remember.
It was still running Android Wear. Of course, it was an Android watch. It was considered to be an Android. They were selling it through the store, Android store, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay. Hey, I got to move on here. Android Auto, success or fail? Bruce.
Fail. Haven't gone anywhere with it.
Okay, George, success or fail for Android Auto?
I'm going to say fail, but I'm putting this up for Jeff because.
Okay, Jeff, Android Auto, success or fail?
As terms of the operating system for a auto, I am going to say fail. In terms of their auto drive cars, I think that's turning into a success.
I wasn't asking about the cars. I was asking about Android Auto.
Yeah, I am going to say no. There's not that many. It's not that many. It's not hooked up to hardly anybody. I think the only one that you can get an option for is Tesla right now.
Robert.
Fail.
Okay. You know what? I think it's a fail, but I think we're being too harsh on it. I mean, the auto industry doesn't move that fast, okay? I don't think we're really going to know if this is truly a success or fail probably for 5 to 7 more years, guys.
And I would buy that, and I'll retract my fail based on that statement alone, because it does take auto manufacturers a long time to implement that kind of technology. And I'll back up. That is different than the Wear watch.
Okay, well, I'm going to say this. How many cars can you buy that were integrated to an iPod? That you control your iPod, you plug it in, they had that, you can play the playlist.
What is an adapter to plug in your iPod versus?
But it worked with the the playlist worked with the radio and did that.
You're going to have to start Apple Journal. I mean, you're
I am just saying. I'm getting point. I'm making a point on this. My point is that somehow some way you're going to see more Apple-dominated cars and operating systems than you're going to see with Google, and I don't know why. It's just going to be.
I disagree. Don't get me wrong. I think Apple's going to be there, but I think Android will too.
Who do you think is going to be there first?
Well, I think Google was. Well, hey, Microsoft. Microsoft's already
Yeah, with Sync.
got
Yeah,
first with Ford.
yeah. I think Sync was I like Sync. I had it in my Ford F-150. I thought it was stellar. Very good.
Sync sucks.
All right. Bruce is back.
I rent a car every month, and it is the least friendly user interface for doing anything on any manufactured car that I've rented. Hands
Really?
down.
No.
Yes. Yes.
I had it on my F-150. I liked it.
All right. Hey,
Yeah.
we've already touched on this next one, but I'm going to run through it anyway. Let's do it quickly. Android TV. Bruce, success or fail?
Fail.
George, success or fail for Android TV?
Fail.
Jeff.
I'm going to go with the Q for 50, please.
Robert.
Fail.
Fail. Again, fail. There's nothing out there with it. Nothing.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Hey, so the last year we kind of got a little bit of a taste of Android applications running within the Chrome OS on Chromebooks. We still haven't seen that happen yet, and I'm going to ask you guys for a prediction on that here in just a second. But let's just talk about Chromebooks in general, guys. Chromebooks, have they been a success or a fail for Google?
Complete success.
Success.
Okay, Robert?
success.
George?
Well, I love my Chromebook. Thank you, Duke. I bring it with me almost everywhere. Even when I have an Android device, I also have the Chromebook because I can sit down in my favorite coffee shop or something, flip that open, and just start working on anything really. Documents, scanning G+.
Okay, fair enough. Bruce?
Oh, big time success.
All
Love
right. So, yeah, I love my Chromebook. We all know that Chrome has been very successful in the education market, especially over the last year. I still think that it's slow for people to adopt, but you know, there's a lot of Chromebook evangelists out there. In fact, there's several Chromebook evangelists in this room. So, yeah, absolutely. Okay, listen, man. Google Fit was unveiled to work with Android Wear. Google Fit. Hey, Robert, Google Fit, success or fail?
I've got to abstain from this because this is one of those things that I think it's tied into the Android Wear, and I've not used it. I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard anything. So if you ask me and put me down, I'd have to say fail. But I don't think it's fair because I don't own the device, so I can't tell you whether it works worth a darn or not. I don't know.
I'll tell you, just in the last couple of days, Google Fit has pushed out an update that makes it much more functional. It's listen, I've been using it. I mean, I'm constantly, okay, Google, how many steps have I taken? You know, that sort of thing. But now it actually measures, you know, miles. You can adjust it a whole lot based upon your height on the stride that you take. It's gotten a whole lot more fine-tuned, and it's prettier to look at. Yeah, I think Google Fit is a winner, and I'll leave the rest of you guys out of it because I doubt that you've. I think I'm the only one who's actually used Google Fit. Okay, listen, man. That was 2014 and your opinions. Let's talk a little bit about 2015.
Wait. Before we go to 2015, I just want to make this one closing observation. You know what the sad part about this? There was only one thing. Don't even start with the glass, Jeff. there was only one thing that was a stellar success that we all agreed upon, and that was Chromebooks. Everything else is typical Google. Let's throw it at the wall. Let's make all of these announcements. We're going to throw money at it. We're going to try and develop, and nothing concrete comes of it. Now, what's going to happen for 2015? You're getting ready to bring up 2015? This ought to be interesting.
Well, you know, in fairness to what Robert said, but Google does do a lot of things well. You know, Google Docs are, I think, amazing. You know, so they do a lot of good application stuff. But when it comes, they just don't have some kind of marketing expertise to push vendors in a direction that makes it cohesive. Whereas, because they don't control both sides of the argument, and we all thought that the Nexus product line was going to do that, and it comes out, you know, come to find out it's not that, right? It didn't turn into that.
Okay, real quick, would you consider the Nexus 6 a success, Jeff?
I didn't buy one. I don't have one. I thought the cost was, you know, a little bit high, so I would say for me, no.
Okay. What about the Nexus 9, Jeff? Would you consider it a success?
Again, I don't know the sales. I got that. You know, the only thing I have is a Nexus 10, and I found out buying the Nexus 10, it was not. It wasn't. I'm not a tablet guy. I'm the Chromebook guy. I use the Nexus 10 only for a couple things, and now I even use it for even less because of some items. So yeah, I can't talk to it.
I think that basically, if you believe the internet, the Nexus 5 was a very successful hardware device for Google, built by LG. It was, you know, when it came out, it was pretty impressive to look at the spec sheet, and it was at a very good price point. Okay, if you look at what Motorola and HTC with the Nexus 6 and 9, those price points, and then, you know, we've already talked about Lollipop being a flop with all the bug issues that it's had. But look at those hardware issues that folks had on that Nexus 6 with those batteries that were swelling and literally pushing the back covers off of them. I mean, I would call those fails. Now, there's some pretty good rumors out there that we're going to see a Nexus 5 2015 edition. I'm kind of getting excited at those rumors, okay?
Yeah.
I would love to see LG make another Nexus 5.
But you know, just to touch on a point here, you know that I'm, you know, kind of frugal, or whatever you want to call it, maybe gun shy, something, whatever.
Cheap.
Right?
The word is cheap, Jeff. Cheap.
I'm not cheap, but I'm a damn good bargain. But so my LG cost me the G3 cost me $40 out of pocket. Right, and I had to sign a 2-year commitment for Verizon. But how can you beat this for $40 versus buying a Nexus? You know, get it now with Verizon and all these data plans, and you know, getting grandfathered in doesn't make as much sense anymore, and things like that. You know, buying the phone outright might not be the option, right? And a subsidized phone is, you know, especially what I got for how long it's going to, you know, keep or last, you can't beat it. So I don't know about these phones that are coming. If the new Nexus comes back out and it's $500, is that going to do anything for me? No, it won't. You know, it's a strange point, but it's kind of like.
No, I hear you. And I agree with you, Jeff. I really do agree with you. I think you make a valid point. And, you know, we've talked on this show, especially in the last 3 or 4 months, about how, you know, when we talk about flagship phones, okay, the innovation is not like it is year to year as it was, say, 4 years ago. I mean, I'm telling you, man, Google was introducing a new operating system about every 7 months there for a while, and each one was a leap compared to the one prior. Okay, and that's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
So,
I think gingerbread forced everyone to get new phones or whatever that operating system was. But like you said, now it's not that is not the exception anymore, and all these manufacturers are close in specs. They can't, like Bruce was saying, the G4 camera is supposed to be spectacular. Well, I love the camera on my phone. Is it better than what I had on my Incredible? Yes. Is it? It's leaps and bounds better, and it's only $40. Out of pocket. Yes, I had to sign a 2-year agreement with Verizon, but I'm going to stick with them for the 2 years anyways. I have to be on some carrier, right? So it all just kind of, I don't know where that price point is. So you can come out with the Nexus 5 for $400. It's not going to be unless some other carrier is going to subsidize it. It's probably not going to be worth it.
okay, fair enough. Hey, so let's talk about. I want to get your guys' takes on 2015 IO. What do we expect here? We've already talked. Lollipop was unveiled. What turned out to be Lollipop. So, are we going to see Android M unveiled in any form or fashion, Bruce?
Oh, Lord. I'm just thinking lollipoop, lollipoop. Forget material design. I want something that works. I hope so, but what hope do I have of getting Android M on my phone anytime soon? I hope so.
Okay. So, Robert, Android M, are we going to see it at I/O?
I think we will. I think we'll see an announcement. I think they've got to do something. The flop of Lollipop has got a stench of desperation all over it. They've got to do something to make up for that, because people are bashing them left and right, and they can't let that continue.
So, is it going to be M&M's? Is it going to be Mars bars, Mentos, Milky Way? What's it going to be, guys?
Milky Way.
Milk toast. It's gonna be M for murder.
Okay, listen. We spent more time arguing about Android Wear. What are we going to see? New, bigger Android Wear announcements at 2015 Google I/O, Robert?
I think you will, because I do think that there is a progression to that. So we probably will see some fairly substantial announcements in the Android Wear.
All right. Hey, let me ask you this question. Will we see Android Wear for Apple Watch devices? Robert says no. What do you think, Jeff? Android Wear for Apple devices.
I'm going to go with no. For Apple devices, no. I would say for Apple phones, perhaps.
Yeah.
But, to see Android Wear on an Apple Watch, no.
Okay.
For an app on a...
Okay. But Android Wear for an iPhone.
For iOS, perhaps, on iPhone, yeah.
Okay. Bruce?
Yeah, I would agree with Jeff.
George, you have an opinion on this?
I'd say yes. I'd say we'd see it.
I believe Google wants that market, and I believe we'll see it, guys. I really do.
I think Google does one, and I don't think Apple's going to let it happen. But okay. We'll see.
All right. Hey, remember...
Hold on one second. It would be interesting if it does take place, then you have a real comparison between two things on one device, like Apple iWatch versus Android Wear, and that'd be very interesting to see what takes place. I think it would be wonderful to see it.
I think Google's working to make it happen, and I'd say Robert's right. Apple won't like it, but I don't think they can stop it. I really don't. I think they might try, but I don't think they can. Hey, guys, Project Era was the modular smartphone project. Now, this has caught a lot of imaginations. We've talked a little bit about it. Bruce, are we going to see a functioning for sale, not this Google Glass vaporware stuff, but are we going to see a Project Era modular smartphone?
Error. Lord, I hope not.
Hey, George, what do you think, man? A modular smartphone, we going to see it?
Yes, I saw one at OggCamp. I like the whole idea of being able to switch out. So yes.
All right, man. Jeff?
I'm going to go with George on this. I think they'll have something, maybe not to buy out of the box, but they will demo something.
Robert?
Nope, not a chance in the world.
All right. Hey, real quick, I'm not going to go down the line here. Are we going to learn more about Android Auto at Google I/O 2015?
I think you're gonna have Sergey show up on the stage with being driven by a little car.
Okay, that's not Project Auto.
I'm teasing you.
Entirely different.
I'm sticking with it though.
You're killing me. You're killing me. I don't care about the little clown car. Okay. Hey.
His prediction is the next version of Fiat's gonna have Android.
Hey.
Oh, I can't wait to have Lollipop in a car. Oh, Lollipop in a car. Yay.
Battery life.
Yeah, it's got a memory leak. Hey, listen, man. We talked quite a bit about Android TV. Are we going to get a beefier, new, better version of the Google Player?
I think we might actually see, and not just the Google Player. I think this is actually going to dovetail into another one of the topics here, and that's Android Home. Ever since the whole Nest thing, I think more and more of the automated home front, both TV, appliances, security, things like your air conditioner with Nest, door locks. I think we're going to see a huge set of announcements along that line, and that Android TV will come out again. Will be pushed again, maybe with new hardware to with some real players behind it this time.
Go ahead, Jeff.
And thank you for raising my hand this time. I don't know how since they have to rely on manufacturers again. Okay. I think that's, you have Samsung taking their Tyson operating system and putting it into their TV sets. They are a huge supplier of TV sets, right? So, I don't know how that's going to work out because they're kind of captive on some of this stuff. So, I do think they're going to try to marry a lot of stuff together software-wise, still trying to get that, convergence. But I don't know how successful they're going to be because
I think you guys make really good points. I just read this week about the HomeKit with Apple, and it's going to be driven by Apple TV. And Google kind of needs that to kind of push their home automation and all of that. Yes, absolutely.
And they have 3 players in which to do it with: LG, Sony, and Nest. And those 3 alone, those are strong alliances that will make their intro or their presence in this field very significant.
Okay. Hey, listen, I'm going to let Jeff take this one right here, and then we really need to move on. Jeff, are we going to see a new version of Glass?
I think they're going to talk about Glass. I don't think you'll see a new version. They'll tease you. But you know what? I was, because I hope springs eternal, and I'm going to wave the Android flag. Woo woo! But I think the one thing that has been missing for 2 years is Google Plus. How before when Vic was alive and well, there was a dominant part of Google I/O. It's kind of gone to the wayside. So I'm kind of wondering if they're going to have any kind of discussion about Stream Now versus something else. Are they going to kind of do some kind of announcement in that area? I'm kind of curious because it's nothing was mentioned last year. I wonder what's going to happen this year.
I hope there are some announcements around it. I'm going to be honest with you, though, I don't expect it. So it's just my opinion. I really don't. Well, hey, one more thing. What kind of gifts do you expect the attendees to receive from Google this year?
They're going to get an Android Wear watch, I can tell you that.
Okay, so I think there will be new watches unveiled, and the attendees will probably get that. Will they be getting Pixels this year, do you think?
You know, I doubt it because you remember when they came out with the Nexus 5 and no one got the phone? You know, they just made the announcement and no one got the phone. Everyone was like shocked, you know. So I don't think they're going to be getting the Pixel.
I think Google has kind of learned a lesson through these I/Os, and I think the big extravagant gifts are going to get scaled back because most people were buying tickets because they knew they were going to get double that in Google swag, and that was the only reason they were coming. And I think Google's learned their lesson there. We'll see. All right. Hey, guys.
But you know, it's been 2 years since the glass announcement. So maybe it's time. Who knows?
Yeah. Hey, really quick here. We're running over here just a little bit. I know a lot of you don't mind. You've sent us notes. We do try to keep these right at an hour, but we're not going to make it tonight. Hey, really quick here, guys. We are Tech and Coffee. We are a Google Plus community. And, hey, come check us out. Search for Tech and Coffee. Look for that T and C logo. And more importantly, we hang out daily and would love to have you come and bring your favorite beverage with you and let's talk tech. You can find it at techandcoffee.info. Again, click on the coffee cup and come check us out. We got a Twitter and a Facebook, Tech and Coffee 1. YouTube is Tech and Coffee. You can find our podcast on Stitcher Radio and iTunes. Hey, search Twitter or use the hash Tech and Coffee. Questions, comments, and snide remarks, AJ at techandcoffee.info. Hey, Jeff, tell us about your app this week, man.
You know, I think since we're kind of long, I'm going to skip my app. And, you know, George has something that's pretty interesting, so maybe we'll just, you know, kind of go to him. I'll save mine for next week because it's going to be a long kind of deal.
Okay. George, you want to cover your app this week, or you want to wait till next week?
Well, considering I had an intro for it, now I have to actually find it because I was watching us on Meerkat. It's called Genius Scan, and actually, I had to do some scans for a lawyer today, so it does a really good job. It assembles your pages. It tries to correct them. You might have to actually scan them 2 or 3 times to correct them, but it does a really good job, and it assembles them like into one PDF. So if you had like 5 or 6 pages, you click them all together and you say, make these into this in this order, and it does a pretty good job, and you really can't beat it, and it's free on the Play Store right now.
So does it utilize the camera to take a picture of the document?
Yeah, you pretty much want a pretty decent camera, but you know, I pretty much hold it like make sure you have a pretty good light over your document, but hold it over, try not to get any shadows on it. Hit the picture. It tries to adjust. It does a pretty good job of adjusting. Tries to get the print, and you get some options of color or black and white. And when it does the black and white, it tries to make it like it kind of looks like a Xerox copy or a photocopy when you're doing it that way. And I had to send some stuff to a lawyer today, and it worked pretty fine. So.
And how are you sending it? Just email it.
I just emailed it as a PDF to him. Yeah.
All right, very good. Very good. Sounds like a very handy app. Hey guys, we've achieved a milestone tonight. This is the 100th episode of Android Journal. We have been at this, I say we, all 5 of us have been at this since well before the winter of 2012 when we started this. And I am going to just real quick, I want to give everybody a little history. Tech and Coffee started out doing a podcast weekly on Thursday nights called Tech News Week. And we talked to General Tech, and we realized that although there was some, I'm going to say some Apple lovers, some iOS lovers, we seem to really get into the Android side of things. And we talked about starting another podcast, and the idea on that podcast, it was going to be called App Sessions. I think Bruce is the one that came up with that name instead of Obsessions. It was going to be App Sessions, and we were going to talk about apps. And that kind of expanded over time. Jeff, I know you were part of the original cast on Android Journal. And we had 2 or 3, and they didn't work out, not because they didn't know what they were talking about, but they had other evening obligations. And listen, I want to thank Bruce, George, Jeff, and Robert. You guys have been so loyal, and thank you. It's been a whole lot of fun. And here's to the next 100.
Let me say one thing and then let Robert jump in. I just want to just say that you are the responsible for all these shows. You have made it work. You do the spreadsheet. You make sure we're there. You coordinate. You pick the topics. It's all you, buddy, and you have done a great job. And it's been interesting because you've done it in such a way that you let each person kind of flourish in their own way, right? And you've taken the lead, and you've done a just incredible job. It's really all you.
I concur. I wanted to jump in, and I was going to say, I wasn't a part of Android Journal from the very beginning, but I like to think that I was an avid fan at the beginning from the start, and I watched the show, and I enjoyed what I saw. And then to have the opportunity to work with you guys and sit down and discuss and learn. Because while I may know a good bit about some things, I don't know everything, just like everybody else. There are gaps in my knowledge, and you guys educate me. But certainly, Duke, the person who brings this all together, the person who makes it 100 episodes possible is Duke Carrico. It's not us, it's you. You are there week after week with your efforts and your knowledge and experience. And for us, it's a pleasure to come and sit down and talk with you about the things that we love. So thank you for letting us do that 100 times over.
Well, like I say, thank you guys. Like I say, it's a passion. But you guys, I've really enjoyed it. Hey, and I told you guys when we started this, I just want you to show up with an opinion. I might not agree with it, but as long as you got an opinion, we're going to have something to talk about, And you guys do a great job at it. Hey, and we don't always agree. And Jeff, I love you, man. I'm telling you, I get the biggest kick out of you. I really do.
Yeah, just because I don't know anything, and you call me on the minute.
Well, it's like I say, it's you're an Apple lover. You're like hey, I'm serious. You're like a closet Apple lover.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm a Macintosh.
And like I say, listen, we are part of a greater community that was actually the brainchild of George. And we started hanging out. He would each day, he didn't start out this way, but one day he called the hangout Tech and Coffee, and that seemed to appeal to a lot of folks. And we got a lot of technical people and a lot of non-technical people and a lot of coffee lovers who just wanted to come and hang out, and we've all grown to be friends. By the way, for anyone listening, I have in real life met Bruce Turner, George, and Robert. I have yet to physically be in the same room with Jeff, but that is definitely on my bucket list. I'm just telling you straight up.
That was a bucket list, or no? Anyways,
But we're all great friends. Is the point I'm trying to.
I know.
It's more than just getting together once a week and doing a show. There's things that I won't get into, but I know some pretty personal things about these guys because we're all great friends and we truly care for one another. And I hope that rapport is reflected when we do get together to do Android Journal each week.
Absolutely. I think that people respond to the genuine friendship that exists between us. And even though Jeff is kind of like the odd man out, he has not been part of this, there is an invitation. All we've got to do is get him to come just a little bit east. All right, a lot east.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to come a lot east. You got to come east of the Mississippi, and you'll actually, be able to sit down with us and we'll enjoy each other's company in real life. But that genuine friendship that extends, between us all, I think comes through in our show, and I think that the public responds to the genuine love and respect that we have for each other, and we understand that everybody has an opinion, and we don't have to agree to still make it an interesting show.
Absolutely.
I want to argue with Jeff just to be able to argue with Jeff.
Okay. Hey, guys, really, really fast, listen, there's a lot of people out there. We've got a Tech and Coffee community that's about 45,000 members strong. I'm not sure of the exact number, but we're bumping 45,000.
Yep.
And listen, we've got a lot of loyal people. I'm not going to try and name you, but there's people who listen to the podcast and watch the YouTube video every week. You make comments, and guys, that's why we do it. That's exactly why we do it. We appreciate, listen, both the positive and the negative. And we're not trying to make money. This is a passion of our heart. So, and that's why we're doing it. That and you folks. So we love hearing from you. And guys, I've rambled on. I'm going to shut up now. Hey, listen, man. Next week we're going to be talking more about Google I/O as we learn a little more, and we'll bring you also the hardware, software, and carrier news. Hey, guys. This is episode 100.
Woohoo!
Yeah.